calls the ban unlawful, saying this retaliatory action threatens serious harm to the Harvard community and our country. Harvard is already suing the administration after it froze $2.2 billion in federal funding to the university, after Harvard refused to comply with the government's demands that they change their curriculum, admissions policies, and end all DEI programs. Now it's expected Harvard could challenge this new ban on foreign students. Asked tonight about another court fight with the university, the DHS secretary saying, quote, bring it. David.
Mary Bruce at the White House. Thank you, Mary.
Causes that many believe are making our children sicker and our population sicker, I guess. It just doesn't stop with the children. It's our population also, such as the ultra-processed foods, over-medicalization and over-prescription and widespread exposure to potentially toxic chemicals. Unlike other administrations, we will not be silenced or intimidated by the corporate lobbyists or special interests, and I want this group to do what they have to do. We have to spell it out. In some cases, it won't be nice or it won't be pretty, but we have to do it. When you hear 10,000, it was 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 31 for autism. I think that's just a terrible thing. It has to be something on the outside, has to be artificially induced, has to be. And we'll not allow our public health system to be captured by the very industries it's supposed to oversee. So we're demanding the answers. The public is demanding the answers, and that's why we're here. Already we're phasing out 8 of the most common artificial food dyes.
Boom, get it. Although it's like, man, libertarians and conservatives always used to say, it's really not the federal government's role to control the food supply. But when the government already controls the food supply, it's like, okay, we guess we got to use the government to make sure the food supply is healthy, so.
And we ended the most serious conflicts of interest at the FDA. We had a lot of conflicts over there. Earlier this week, we approved a SNAP waiver request from Nebraska so they can stop taxpayer dollars from being used to make our children obese. I understand requests from 3 more states will be approved shortly, and more are expected to come in the following weeks. Over the next 80 days, the Commission will build on its work in this report to develop a roadmap to bold and transformative public health reforms for our consideration. It's a consideration, and we'll lay out the facts. Let me say congratulations to the entire MAHA movement. This movement has become very hot. People are really, I tell you, they're going crazy over MAHA. They're going crazy, right?
Holy cow. You know what's crazy is how different I feel after literally only a month of exercising. I feel so much different.
To continuing the historic progress.
I can just feel like
I
less
will
fat
say this,
too.
this whole group, this whole table, they're very, I use a word that's, because it's a beautiful word, actually. The Democrats took it and they used it instead of the word liberal. They used the word progressive. And normally I'd say you're very progressive, meaning you're far. They're not progressive. You are progressive. They shouldn't be allowed to use that word. And so therefore I'm not going to use it to describe you, but you are far forward thinkers. You're amazing thinkers, and we appreciate having you. It's this tremendous talent around this table, the most respected people anywhere in the world, actually. And I've been a fan.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Jay Bhattacharya, RFK Jr. I mean, it really is the most respected health panel you can, and it's not co-opted by the pharmaceutical industry. This is one thing I genuinely never, ever, ever thought we could see. I thought the pharmaceutical giants were too corrupted into our system. I really did.
Fan of Bobby for years. He came up to see me 13, 14, 15 years ago, I remember, and he left. And I made a couple of the statements that he made because I agreed with the same thing, and we both went through hell. Do you remember that? It was a massive, but you know what? We turned out to be right. It was sort of interesting. But I've been a friend of Bobby, and he's been a foe, too,
Guest is in the house. What up, Guest? Did you see the dozens of left-wing members of Congress crying on social media they had to work till 4 a.m. today they were such whiny little self-entitled spoiled brats? No, I didn't. It's like, wow, you guys had to work one late night, or you had to pull one all-nighter. Ooh, big deal.
He's tried to stop a couple of my jobs. In one case, he did stop a job, and I was really angry. And then about 4 months later, we went into like a depression, and I saved a hell of a lot of money by the fact that you stopped it.
You're welcome.
So I never minded. I always said, thank you very much for stopping that big job I was going to do. But he's a fantastic guy, and Bobby, we're with you all the way. And your beautiful wife is right sitting in the front row, and she's always been right there with you. And, you know, it was very interesting. When Bobby came, I really wanted Bobby to join, and he was doing very well as a candidate, really well. He was being treated very unfairly by the other side, but he was doing so well that they treated you unfairly. They had no choice. I think they said, in order to qualify, Newt, you had to have 80% of the vote. Okay, do you remember that deal? You had to have 80% of the vote in order to...
Wait, what? Also in the bill was no tax on tips and overtime pass. All the liberals who voted no said they were for the working people. All lies. No doubt. I'll be curious to see how this actually gets implemented. I'll be really curious because a lot of people are going to just try to get around it, right? Everybody's just going to try to make their income be considered tips and overtime. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. I'll just say that.
Qualified to run against Joe Biden. And Bobby thought that was a little unfair, and that was about it. And he came on board, and we got very lucky. But you really helped, and I want to thank you very much, really. We're with you all the way. Thank you very much. So Bobby, if you'd say, give him your thoughts, please.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President.
Here we go, RFK Jr. Let's go.
I do want to say something because I get a lot of credit for steering this administration toward the MAHA movement. But I joined the campaign in August. I joined President Trump in August and went from independent to his campaign. But it was in June that he made a speech specifically on this issue. It was a MAHA speech before MAHA existed. And I took note of that speech at the time and thought there's a potential here for a common ground. So I want to thank you for your vision, for your courage, for standing up. President Trump is...
Wow, Trump loved that. Trump loved that. See, RFK Jr. actually giving credit to Trump for MAHA before MAHA and the speech before he... Trump loves that. Very smart of RFK Jr. there. Trump even patted him on the back.
He's a populist president. He's a president. He's blamed for giving money to billionaires and all this stuff. We hear about that all the time. But he is on the side of the middle class, the working class, the poor in this country, people... And I've been following, I've met every president since my uncle was president, and I've never seen a president, Democrat or Republican, that is willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do, and they're willing to talk about really difficult issues and to hold his stand on those issues. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very, very grateful to you. I've sat with industry again and again in a room with him and heard him say, we can't do that. We're going to do something different, deliver news that they didn't want to hear. So I'm grateful to this. This is a milestone. There's never in American history has the federal government taken a position on public health like this. And because of President Trump's leadership, it's not just one cabinet secretary, it's the entire government that is behind this report. And I can say again, I talked a little bit about when I met Rachel Carson as a boy. My uncle tried to do this, but he was killed and it never got done.
More meltdown from Doghouse and Counterpoints. Are they still around? They're still around? Oh my goodness. The plane is a bribe. Also, the live 14 million will be kicked off Medicare. They leave out us removed lazy illegals and refugees and their children. Biden allowed on the program. Right, guess. Exactly. Okay, here's my response to that, guess. Number one, I didn't even know Doghouse and Counterpoints are even still around or streaming or posting or anything like that, okay? Second of all, the plane is a bribe. That's a straight-up conspiracy theory. These leftists are such conspiracy theorists anymore. Also, the lie 14 million be kicked off Medicare. It's like, yeah, first of all, you're exactly right. It's illegals, it's things like that. But it's people that just straight up don't want to work. It's like, it's called work requirements. Do they really think that, like, oh, you should just get free Medicare just because you don't want to work? I mean, come on. Are these guys straight up communists or what?
And ever since then, we've been waiting for a president who would stand up and speak on behalf of the health of the American people and say,
no, guess I'm emceeing an event tomorrow night. It's the Republican Party's big fundraiser, Lincoln Reagan Day dinner tonight here, Friday night, Yellowstone County. It's I can't believe they did it on Memorial Day weekend, but they did. So it's Friday night. I'm the MC for that, so I got to go to that.
there is no difference
Oh yeah, Doghouse doesn't exist. He changed his name. Oh yeah. What's his name now? What's his name?
between good economic policy, good environmental policy, and good public health policy, and good industrial policy. We can have all of them. We need a united cabinet, and we need to go forward as a single people. I want to thank you for that, President Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
At its core, this report is a call to action for common sense. We've relied too much on conflicted research, ignored common sense, or what some would call mother's intuition. It's common sense that ultra-processed, nutrient-poor food contributes to chronic disease. It's common sense that excessive screen time and isolation lead to anxiety and depression, especially in children. It's common sense that exercise and healthy food should come before prescriptions and surgery. It's common sense that not all calories are equal in nutritional value. It's common sense that over-medicating kids is dangerous. It's common sense that we can celebrate the innovations of modern life while also demanding fearless inquiry into ameliorating the negative effects of medication, agriculture, and environmental practices. It's common sense that research funded by corporations deserves more scrutiny than independent studies. I'm so proud of this cabinet, and particularly Secretary Rollins and
Senator Bass lecture has a ring to it. Yeah, no, guess I've actually emceed a number of these events. Obviously, when I do it, I have a lot more energy and am. It's like when I'm on the radio. You know how it's weird. Like when I'm on Twitch. When I'm on Twitch, I'm just like so relaxed and chilled back and just kind of doing whatever. I'm just kind of different, you know, whether it's me being on the radio, whether it's, and when I MC these dinners, you know, it's a good thing.
And Administrator Zeldin, who, again, I'll say it a third time, work late nights, early.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah, I streamed that one. Was that the one with, that was the Convention of States one with that presidential candidate, Rick Santorum, right?
Into the morning.
Oh, yeah, Vince Wilson. Yeah, what a name, Vince Wilson.
To make this happen, and to all the leadership from the White House staff, beginning with Stephen Miller and Heidi Overton, Dr. Heidi Overton, with Vince Haley. Their leadership and their steady hand in getting us to the goal line we could not have done it without them. They helped us grapple with weighty issues and committed this administration to solving large, complex challenges like children's health. We're joined here by senators, advocates, governors who I have worked with, and CEOs who I know who are all ready to begin carrying out this mission. This is the beginning of a conversation, a national conversation that we are going to have with maturity, with nuance, for the first time in history, thanks to your leadership, President Trump. There is a reason that the Maha Moms sided with you, President Trump. It's because this administration has the bravery to tell the truth and solve problems through innovation and not nanny-state regulation. President Trump, I'm honored to present you the Maha Report and work with this incredible cabinet that you have brought together to make our children healthy again.
Three things. First, on behalf of an extremely grateful nation and on behalf of a lot of extremely grateful Maha moms who are out there, Secretary Kennedy and Mr. President, thank you. I see a Maha mom and grandma and our amazing Chief of Staff right there, Susie Wiles. I see a Maha mom and Caroline Levitt and all across our cabinet. Sir, my oldest son, Luke, is here. Stand up, Luke. I am a Maha mom of 4. And this hits particularly close to home for every single one of us in this room. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you mentioned, sir, in your remarks that we are on track to sign multiples of SNAP waivers.
Dude, that's horrible, American patriot, to say nasty things about RFK Jr.'s medical condition. That's honestly disgusting and revolting to criticize somebody for a medical condition like that. Wow, I'm surprised.
To get junk food and sugary drinks out of our food stamp system. And I am so proud. I am so proud to announce that on Monday, I was in Nebraska with Governor Pillen, where we signed the first one. An hour ago, I signed the second one for Governor Braun in Indiana. He may not even know that. I've got it right here, sir. I also signed the third one, Governor Kim Reynolds of Iowa, about an hour ago. With a half a dozen more coming down the line. And sir, that has never happened before. Under Republican or Democrat administrations, we have never made that happen before. So I am so proud and so grateful for your leadership.
Morrissey here, who was the first one to apply from West Virginia.
Oh, Governor Morrissey.
PM, what's up, PM? Yeah, well, saying nasty things about people because of a disease they have is pretty horrible, American patriot. I would not recommend you go around and say nasty things about people because of a disease they have. Pretty disgusting thing to do.
We will make sure you're at the top of the pile, sir. I apologize. Governor Sanders has been a leader. Governor Polis from Colorado. It has been remarkable how these governors have stood up. That's the second thing. The third and final thing, sir, is we all know that at the center of making America healthy again is making American agriculture great again. Without American agriculture at the center of this discussion, we have the most robust, the safest, the best agriculture system in the world. And in partnership with the amazing Secretary Kennedy and all of these incredible patriots sitting around this table, under the leadership of the extraordinary President Donald J. Trump, we will make America healthy again. And what an honor it is to be a part of that. Well, thank you, sir.
Mr. Policy Man, you want to say something? Big policy man here.
Well, so much has already been said, but in your remarks, Mr. President, you made clear.
This is Vince Haley, by the way.
In your remarks and in the report, it's very clear that there are no sacred cows when it comes to our children's health. We are showing the courage to turn over every stone.
Thank you, Vince.
Fabio, you want to have other people speak? We've had everybody speak.
Oh, good. Most have already spoken. That's very good. But the fake news wasn't here. What's going on? I mean, Oz, I want to thank you for your work. Would you have anything to say to the media?
Thank you, sir. I think it's a moral failing if we don't address this, but it's definitely a financial failing as well. 50% of children are on Medicaid or on the CHIP program. It is an obligation we all have to address this reality. As you know, the cost of Medicaid has gone up 50% in 5 years.
Right.
I thank you very much for having the bravery to commission this report, and Secretary Kennedy, Secretary Rollins, Lee Zeldin, and everybody else on this panel for being able to effect what has not been done since this law for Medicare and Medicaid was written in 1965. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you. A man who's just so highly respected, Dr. Marty Makary. Would you say a couple of words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. The United States is the best in the world when it comes to proton beam therapy, CAR T, sophisticated operations. But when it comes to the health of the population, it's been a 50-year failure. And we have got to change course. And it's not until you have had the courage to let us take on these giant issues, as Vince Haley said, without any sacred cows, that we've been able to change. And I think this will transform our healthcare system from a reactionary system where doctors are playing whack-a-mole to a proactive system. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you, man. Highly respected man. Jay, please say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I said earlier already that it's shocking to me that what this report says, which is that our kids will live less long, less healthy, more unhappy lives than we will as parents. We can't have.
The Presidential Commission to Make America Healthy Again today released a groundbreaking assessment identifying key drivers behind the childhood chronic disease crisis, coming 90 days after President Trump signed an executive order establishing the MAHA Commission and tasking it with delivering a Make Our Children Healthy Again assessment. The MAHA report. Wow. Read the report. Purpose of the assessment: introduction, the chronic disease crisis, a generation at risk, what is driving the increase in childhood chronic disease, corporate capture in the revolving door. Section 1, the shift to ultra-processed foods, a closer look at ultra-processed foods, the impact of ultra-processed foods, and the vital role of whole foods in children's health. The driving forces behind American children's food crisis, government programs compounding the issue, the cumulative load of chemicals in our environment, chemical exposures, why children are uniquely vulnerable to environmental chemicals, corporate influence, scientific research, laws and regulations, the crisis of childhood behavior in the digital age, decline of physical activity, psychosocial factors, and mental health crisis, over-medicalization of our kids. American children are on too much medicine, a recent and emerging crisis, growth of the childhood vaccine schedule from bench to bedside, mechanisms of corporate capture, supporting gold standard scientific research and developing a comprehensive strategy. The one I'm interested the most in out of these was chemical exposures. In 1997, Bill Clinton signed the executive order protection of children from environmental health risks, which required federal agencies to make it a high priority to identify and assess environmental health and safety risks that may disproportionately affect children, ensure effective policies, programs, activities, and standards that address them. Environmental health and safety risks were defined as risks to health that are attributed to products or substances the child is likely to come in contact with or ingest, such as air, food, the water we drink or use, the soil, products we use or exposed to. EO created the President's Task Force. The U.S. EPA has a robust risk-based approach, considers hazard and exposure for assessing the risk of chemicals, pesticides to human health and the environment. The EPA has been tracking indicators of children's environmental well-being through America's Children and Environment. ACE tracks chronic childhood disease in children. However, in 2025, 20 years, childhood health risks is largely worsened. There's growing concern about the link between environmental health risks, chemical classes, and common exposure pathways. Heavy metals, lead, mercury. Exposure, legacy paint, pipes, and dust. Air pollutants, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, I don't know what all those are. VOCs, smog, wildfires. Pesticides, atrazine, chlorpyrifos, glyphosate, food, water, dust, lawn treatment, household sprays. Endocrine disrupting chemicals, plastics, personal care products, packaging, textiles, dust. Waterborne contaminants, PFAS, nitrates, fluoride, drinking water, ag runoff. Industrial residues, formaldehyde, cleaning products, cosmetics, home services, building materials, cosmetics, cleaners. Persistent organic pollutants, dust, food, physical agents. Huh. So this is really just a report that basically says we've got problems, we need to do a lot more. It's not like here's the solution. Okay.
That I'm so proud to be part of this moment because that doesn't have to be the future. We can change things.
Paleo Con, what's up?
Science,
Do you? Why?
Understanding the root causes of all these problems, reversing it. And Mr. President, this is an enormously important moment because it's from this moment forward, we will reverse course so our kids will live longer than us, will live more healthy than us, and will be happier than we have been. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Good job, too. I have to say we have the greatest farmers in the world, and we love our farmers, and we want to pay respect to our farmers, and we always will. And we won the farmers by a lot in the election, in every election, all three elections, and we won by a lot. And I will never forget that. And they are foremost in our thought and representing. I think the farmers better than just about anybody can do is Senator Roger Marshall. Could you say a couple of words, Roger, please?
Mr. President, we're not tired of winning yet. Congratulations. What a week you've had overseas, one win after another, one big beautiful bill across the House floor this morning. You're the best closer in the game, and this is one of the greatest days of my life professionally speaking as well. And I just want to acknowledge my MAHA mom out here as well, that my wife, Lena, was a MAHA nurse and a MAHA mom and a MAHA grandma. Now, Lena, will you please stand up as well, my wife? Mr. President, as you know, I spent 25 years delivering babies most every day. We saw a huge epidemic of diabetes, of pregnancy, and this has exploded in so many different directions now. We have an epidemic in mental health in our youth, obesity rates 20-30%, 20% of our children on a prescription drug, 60-70% of adults on a prescription drug. We can do better than this. And it does start with the farmer. It starts with soil health. And I just want you to know that our farmers are so committed to this as well. And so many of them are already doing great things. They're making the soil healthier. They're using less pesticides. They're doing all the right things. It's going to take a little bit more effort and time to get everybody with those practices. But the American farmer and rancher were the original environmentalists, the original conservationists, and they'll be right here working beside us. And we appreciate your support of them as well.
Thank you, Roger. Great. Thank you. So I think I'll close by just saying that something happened a week ago that was very, very important, profound, but very important in so many ways. For years, I noticed that other countries paid much less for drugs and pharmaceuticals than we did. But I don't mean 2% less or 10%, which would be good, but I don't mean 20 or 25 or 30%. I mean, sometimes we paid 10 times more, 12 times more, 13 times more than other countries where people from our country would be seen going into Mexico and seen going into other countries, leaving on trips and bringing their drugs home because they'd get in London, they'd be able to buy a drug for 1/10 the price of what it costs in New York City. And I watched this, and I watched it during my term, and I didn't like it.
Plukester, what's up,
And
Plukester?
it's a very complex system, but you know, we're
What's up,
smart
Num?
also, maybe much smarter than they are. And at some point, we had to figure out, and I heard it was the middleman. Nobody told me who the middleman was. Nobody knew who the middleman was. Nobody ever heard. All I heard is the middleman. I said, they've got to be the richest people in the world, whoever they are. We don't even know if there is a middleman. All I know is that the drugs were 10 times higher and sometimes more than that. And I really got into it over the last year, and I figured the whole system out. And for various and sundry reasons, the United States of America was being screwed, and we were being taken advantage of and being laughed at for years and years. And I said, it's not going to happen anymore. And I brought a great gentleman, the head of Eli Lilly, in, who's great. He really is. He's great. He's done a fantastic job, and others also of the companies. And I'd have it out with him. I had debates with him, actually, and pretty much it was a debate that was impossible to lose. You had to be a real bad debater to lose that debate because they couldn't justify it. They tried to say, well, you know, we pay for research and development, and the United States has agreed to pay for 100%. I said, why? Why are we paying? And by the way, that wasn't even the number because it's still way too high if you took all the research and development. But you have other countries that are a lot more vicious than us in terms of their representatives. And they'd set a price for a drug, and they'd say, tell the United States to pay for the rest. We were subsidizing the whole world. And I said, we're not going to do that anymore. We've been a laughing stock for so many years. The last 4 years, we've been a laughing stock. I said it. We're a laughing stock, and now we're the most respected, and we're the hottest country in the world. We're going to remain that way. We're going to do that with drug costs, too. And so I said, I'm going to do something that's a very unpopular thing to do with a small number of people, mainly the people that own the drug companies and others. And I'm not even blaming them. They were able to get away with it. But it was really other nations that took advantage of us because the drug companies were under their thumb. And they would say, this is what I'm going to pay. And the European Union was right at the top of the list. Let me tell you, we're going to pay $20 for this, and we're not going to pay any more. And America would pay $240 for the same thing that they're paying $20. They said, tell America to pay for the rest. And for years, they went along aimlessly, and they did it. And I started making changes, and I'll never forget the end of my first term, which was very successful. We had the best stock market ever. We had the best economy ever of any president. We went up 88% in the stock market, as an example, and I think 116% in one of the other indices. And we had, we're doing well, but this whole thing with the drug costs always bothered me. And I started really studying it, and it's very complicated stuff. And I said, you know what? We are paying so much more, and I demanded favored nations. We're the biggest buyer, we're the best buyer, we're the most solid buyer, we're the one that paid for all of the research and development. And I said, we're going to do something that's earth-shattering. So at the end of my first term, I was so proud because it's the first time in 28 years that any president reduced drug prices during the course of 4 years. And you know what the number was? 1/4 of 1%. But it was down 1/4. Think of it, 1/4 of 1%. Very little. Essentially, they remained the same. But I wanted to get it down, and I was so proud. I thought I was the greatest guy in the world. I took it down 1/4 of 1%, and I had news conferences. I was bragging. I'm the only one that did it 28 years. And then I said, that's not very much because we were still paying so much more. And I decided I've got to break the system. And it's the most powerful lobby in the world, the drug company. Most powerful, they are the most powerful. And I'm not saying bad, good. I'm not saying anything, but they have tremendous power over the Senate, over the House, over the governors, over everybody. And they spend more money, billions and billions of dollars. And I said, I don't care. I have to do what's right. And I declared a favored nations, most favored nations, where the United States from now on is going to pay the exact same price as the lowest price anywhere in the world. In other words, if you take... Right? In other words, if you take the country that's paying, and let's say in a certain part of, there may be some country out there that pays a little bit less for very good reasons because of the fact, a thing called poverty or whatever. But we take the lowest countries, say European Union countries as a whole, that would be fine. Or take individual countries within the European Union, or take various countries that nobody's even heard about. We pay the lowest. And what that's going to mean, and I'd like to put somebody to police it because it should start immediately. It shouldn't start in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. They'll say, yes, it kicks in. They always say kicks in, Marty. It kicks in, sir, in 4 years, and then 4 years they get it changed. It should mean, so remember I told you I was happy with 1/4%. It could mean anywhere from 70% to 89% reduction in drugs and pharmaceuticals. That's a little different, right? And I've actually had some congressmen call me and they say, sir, can we talk about this? I said, no. They wanted to talk because, there's tremendous power against them. And I understand that. And every one of them was covered. Senators were. I see Roger smiling, and Roger probably was too. But you know what? He wants to do the right thing, right? He wants to do the right thing. And we're doing the right thing. We're taking advantage of, and forget the drug company, we're taken advantage of by other countries that insisted with the drug companies that they were going to pay X dollars, and we're not paying any more, and you're not doing business here. And they were nasty about it.
Dude, this is amazing. Donald Trump blocks Harvard from enrolling foreign students. The Trump administration is yanking Harvard University's authorization to enroll foreign students, a major escalation and financial blow in the government's pressure campaign against the nation's most prominent university. Harvard enrolls 7,000 international students, more than 25% of the student body, and like many U.S. universities, relies on their tuition payments, which are full fee. The Trump administration has already pulled billions in federal research funding from the school and threatened to revoke tax-exempt status, citing concerns about anti-Semitism and DEI. It is a privilege, not a right, for universities to enroll foreign students and benefit from higher tuition payments to help their multi-billion-dollar endowments, Kristi Noem said. The department said Harvard had failed to create a safe campus environment for students, especially Jewish ones, and alleged that many anti-American pro-terrorist agitators on campus were foreign students. Obviously, yes, they were. Duh, we know that. Of course, the Wall Street Journal won't actually report that. Are you kidding me? Kim Jong-un's new warship capsizes at launch? North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's dream of modernizing his country's outdated naval fleet suffered a major setback after a much-touted warship crashed into the water after a botched exit from the dock. Kim, who witnessed the mishap unfold at a Wednesday launch event, lambasted officials for their absolute carelessness, irresponsibility, and unscientific empiricism in causing the serious accident, North Korea state media reported. The 41-year-old dictator equated the gaffe to a criminal act. Oh my gosh, people are going to get executed for this. Countries nobody has even heard of. I love Trump. Oh, I know. Isn't that funny, PM? Trump is so funny. It's so good. Yeah, did you see there was a terrorist attack in D.C. today? Yeah, I did see that. That's terrible. Against Jews again, too. We need to start using the Patriot Act against these Jew haters in this country. Where's the NSA? Aren't they like wiretapping these Jew haters if they're just going to be killing Jews in the street? We need to arrest these people before they kill more Jews. More leftist murders. Yeah, exactly, Manam. It's like literally more leftist murders. The unnamed 5,000-ton destroyer... The unnamed 5,000-ton destroyer had been docked at a shipyard in Chongqing, a northeastern port city. As it was pushed sideways toward the water, the ship didn't move in parallel. Its hull got crushed, and its bow got stranded on the shipway. Citing satellite imagery of the shipyard, South Korea's military said the destroyer lay on its side in the water. North Korean state media didn't publish images from the launch event or mention any injuries. The warship represents one of Kim's crown jewels and is pushed to upgrade North Korea's naval fleet. Much of the country's ships are from the Soviet era and pale in comparison to the nuke-powered subs, warships, and vessels possessed by the U.S. and South Korea. Nuke-armed North Korea has a growing arsenal of weaponry, but nearly all of it's land-based and more easily detectable. Advancing Kim's naval capabilities could expand the potential theater combat and more unpredictability to its firepower. Atop a country with serious food shortages. Oh my gosh. Is this the... Okay, so this is before the launch. Okay, where's the image? That's hilarious. Wow.
I can ask him if he...
Well, thanks, everybody.
Because these people are almost sort of afraid of them. And we are going to now get a reduction in drug costs of up to 89% in some cases, but 50% would be a bad number. So think of that, 50% versus 1/4%. Think of that, 85, 89, 91, 72%. It's going to be massive numbers. It's going to be incredible for Medicaid, incredible for all forms of health care. Medicare is going to have a huge impact, so big that nobody can calculate it. I mean, this thing could drop by 25, 30%. The drugs are a very big part of it, right? So very big part. So it'll affect everything. It'll affect your whole life. The amount of money you're going to be saving is going to be incalculable. Nobody can believe I had the courage to do it. I don't think it's courage. I think it would have been courage not to do it. I tell you what, not to do it would have taken far more courage because I was tired of it. And I was listening to these guys, and they are, they make a lot of money every year, millions and millions of dollars a year. And I agree, because at the beginning, because of the complexity, you'd walk out of a room, you'd hear them talking, and, they almost convinced you that it's a great system, it's a wonderful system, even though we were paying 10 times more. That's why they make $30 million a year, because they were good, but not any longer. And one of them just threw up his hands.
Scooby, what's up, Scooby?
I was just
Really?
pounding on him. He said, I can't do it anymore. It's the hardest thing I have to do is trying to justify this damn thing. I can't do it anymore. One of the biggest companies, I just can't do it anymore. You're right. And as soon as he said that, that was like incredible, because I understood exactly he couldn't do it. He said it's the hardest thing he had to do is trying to justify why we're paying $200 for something and somebody else is paying $12. That is a neighboring country. Take Canada. I mean, people go up to Canada to shop because the prices are so much less, and it's not going to happen anymore. So we're going to take the lowest country anywhere in the world, and that's what we're going to be paying, and we'll be saving from 50 to 89%. And these are big, these are tremendous numbers. There's not going to be anything where we're paying 10 times more than somebody else. And one thing that is very important, and it's got to be implemented. It's done. I've done the order. It's done. But we have to get somebody that's got a lot of strength and a lot of power, because you have to implement it, because these countries are going to go down fighting. They don't want this to happen because they're going to go up. Now, there are many more people involved in the world than there are here. So
Plugster, you have to do your actual number. So do heist and then your actual number of how many polls you have. So like do heist like 40,000 or 4,000 or whatever you do. You have.
They'll go up a little bit, maybe 15, 20%, and we're going to go down 60, 70, or 80%. But they will fight the drug companies. The drug companies are very worried that they're going to fight, and that's okay. If they fight, we'll just say, that's okay. We are not going to let you sell any more cars into the United States, or we're not going to let you sell any more wine or liquor or alcohol or something that's actually much more important to them than the drugs. And we're going to be able to force that issue if we need to. They should do it. We're basically equalizing. They should do it. And, the drug companies should do just as well. This shouldn't be a hit on their stock. I don't think it will be.
Wow, Scooby. Really, Scooby? You've never done a heist and you're in 19th? Okay, cool. Let's check the election while everybody gets in on this heist. Currently in the election, we've got Eric in number 1, Pro-Law number 2, Riding Fence, American Patriot, Fighter Killer, Zacchaeus, Altair, Hydra, 1927, Darius Morb, Guess, Grumple, Numb, Just Kidding, Crazy Noodles, Jim Bar, PM, Shell Ghost, Scooby. Wow, Scooby. That's crazy, Scooby. You're just into the top 20, too. You've got 86,000. Wow, I can't believe you can get into the top 20 with 80,000 polls, and then we've got people with 3.5 million.
It's basically, it's going to be the same amount of money, but it's
Where
going
you
to
at,
be
Guess?
redistributed.
Okay, Guess is number 11. You've got 400,000. Wow, that's pretty good, Guess, for never heisting either. 400K.
And it's going to be redistributed, so they're going to pay a little bit more, and we're going to pay a lot less. A little bit more because there's so many more. So it's a bigger number. And so, Robbie, I'd like to ask you and Dr. Oz and Marty.
You guys should be heisting. You guys should be heisting because the odds of winning the heist are like 70% or 65% or something like that. So you should be heisting because if you play the odds and you do the heist, you're going to make more polls that way. It's just the way it is. You don't have to, but if you want to get up, you got to get them all going. Never did a heist either. That's all views. Nice, PM. Trailer Trash. Hello, Trailer Trash. Welcome.
Perhaps, and Jay, and maybe representing the world's politicians, I can ask Roger, who's so great with this whole subject, if you would be very, very tough and very, very, very powerful in a sense. It's not easy. You're going to have to get this done. The drug companies are going to say, well, they won't do it, and maybe they won't. And if they don't do it, we're going to not do business with that country or those countries. But we're going to have to be very tough until it's totally stabilized and equalized. And Oz, I mean, I see your eyes are gleaming because you've been talking about this for a long time, but you've never had anyone willing to do it. But I'm willing to do it. And I think it's going to go down as one of the most important things we've ever done because drug costs are going down. Think of it. Then every year for 21 years, the cost.
Is it really a heist if it has a 70% success rate? I guess not. Do you think it should be 50-50, Scooby? You think it should be 50-50? Or what? I just thought it would be more interesting if I put the percentage. Yeah, I thought it'd be more interesting if I put the percentage a little bit higher to encourage people to do it. Because if it's 50-50, then it's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, I wouldn't do it either if it's 50-50. Right? So you have to do it more than 50-50 to actually get people to actually play the game and be interested in it, I would think.
Costs have gone up, and now they're going down maybe by 85, 80. I'm telling you, 89% in 2 instances, 89% cut. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So I'd like to ask Oz in particular, because you and I know each other. He's a very tough hombre, this one. He's tough as hell. And so if you can lead the group, and it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to get in, and you're going to have to fight. If you do it, you can have, within a period of weeks, you can have drug costs that drop like a rock, okay? So you, as a group, I have great confidence. And if you don't do it, I am firing every single one of you. Good luck, guys.
Good luck, guys.
All right? Can you handle it?
The companies are all coming in, and we've heard some very interesting. Sorry, the companies are all coming in. We've had some very promising interactions. So,
okay, good.
I give you a little
gonna
time to be a tough hombre.
You'll do a great job. I have no doubt about it. Thank you very much. Any help, I will be there to help you, okay?
Well, you mentioned something that has not been discussed in the past. People have talked about drug prices in a silo and in isolation. But when you start going to the countries where they give discounts to because they're getting beaten up there and you support these companies, they see a huge upside potential, and even greater than the numbers you mentioned.
Right.
They should be able to charge more than what they would historically have been tolerant of if they have the support of the U.S. government and you. And Secretary Kennedy is aware of all these discussions.
Well, they were artificially low and artificially high. We were artificially high. They were artificially low. We're not going to let that. And I think you're going to be able to handle it pretty easily. But speed is very important because we can do this immediately. This doesn't take 2 years, 3 years. It doesn't take a month. So do the best you can. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Oh man, so Trump didn't do Trump didn't take questions. Wow, good Maha event though. Very good Maha event. Very good Maha event. I was also checking out, Caroline Levitt did presser today, so this is where that we get to hear what the press cares about, I guess.
Intends to. I think the president has spoken on this pretty extensively, and I have spoken about it extensively from this podium as well, how it was truly one of the worst political scandals this country has ever seen, that the previous administration covered up the decline in the former president's mental and physical ability, and it's now all coming out. But the American people knew the truth, and that's one of the many reasons why President Trump won the election on November 5th.
And President Trump says that he basically thinks unelected Biden staffers concealed his decline so that they could use the levers of power for their own personal gain.
Well,
Fighter killer, you jinxed yourself.
look, that's not just the president thinking that, Peter. There's a new book out. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. Again, a little bit too late because the American people knew the truth on this from the very beginning. And there were reporters in this room, including some from your network, Peter, I'll give you a little bit of credit here, who have said that clearly Joe Biden's staffers were engaging in this cover-up. So this is common sense. This isn't the president making it up. These are facts that are now finally being revealed.
Right, and I'm not saying the president's making it up, but he specifically talks about the auto pen. He thinks that staffers were using this auto pen.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some kind of like a badge that you have to swipe to use an auto pen? Is there a record of that?
I can tell you here at this White House, the president signs any document that has legal implications. The president signs every executive order. He signs every proclamation. He signs pretty much every document that is needed for the president's signature, with the exception of maybe some letters to children. From what we have heard and seen, that was not the case in the previous administration, and the president is raising good questions that are worth looking into. And as for Maha, I'm going to take a sip of water, if that's okay with you guys. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Back to the presidential gala tonight. Did anyone in the White House or in the White House counsel's office advise the president against holding this sweepstakes, whereby people who spent the most money on his Trump coin would then have access to the president at this dinner?
Again, the president has been asked about this. He has addressed this. I have also stated previously from this podium that the president is abiding by all conflict of interest laws that are applicable to the president. And I think everybody, the American public, believe it's absurd for anyone to insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency. This president was incredibly successful before giving it all up to serve our country publicly. And not only has he lost wealth, but he also almost lost his life. He has sacrificed a lot to be here, and to suggest otherwise.
Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at the way Drudge Report is covering this situation right now. The big, beautiful debt bomb, and they've got Mike Johnson and Donald Trump here. It's like, man, when this thing allegedly is going to add trillions to the debt, it's like, wow. But pretty rich for the Drudge Report to now pretend like they care about this. It's like Drudge is just anti-Trump at this point. Wow, I haven't visited this website in a decade, it feels like.
Is frankly completely absurd.
Does the White House
Libby,
have
go
any
ahead.
concerns?
Round of nuclear talks between Iran and the U.S. is going to take place on Friday in Rome. What is the president anticipating ahead of that? And if a deal doesn't come from that meeting, is he going to walk away?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Iran, because I do have an update. The president spoke to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. They had a productive discussion. They discussed many things, including, of course, the tragic shooting that took place here in Washington, D.C. last night. But they also did talk about a potential deal with Iran, which the president believes is moving along in the right direction. And as the president told me, and he's told all of you, this deal with Iran could end in two ways. It could end in a very positive diplomatic solution, or it could end in a very negative situation for Iran. So that's why these talks are taking place later this week. Yamish, good to see you.
Hi, thanks for taking the question.
Sure.
The president showed a video
Yamish Alcindor gets a question? Oh my word.
that he said showed more than 1,000 burial sites of white South Africans that he said were murdered. We know that that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose
What's
to show
not
that?
true, Yamish?
It's not true that the video was showing a burial site. It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that that video showed the crosses that represent.
What the president claimed.
The video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin. And those crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
The fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
No, it did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verifies the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to
Yamiche,
show?
what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument, and the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you should take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated, and that's a ridiculous line of questioning. John, go ahead.
Boom! Take that, Yamiche Alcindor! Take that, Yamiche Alcindor! Wow! She's like, thanks for taking my question. No, Yamiche Alcindor, you should not want her to take your questions if you're going to get smacked down and beat down like that.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Carolyn. The big, beautiful bill now goes to the Senate.
Does, yes.
A lot of the Republican senators have promised amendments that will water this thing down dramatically. What is the president's level of tolerance for their amendments?
I don't know, Ploopster.
And what will be the action taken for some of the amendments that the president...
No, PM, I don't think I used to have a Drudge emote.
does not want.
Sure. Well, the One Big Beautiful Bill is named the One Big Beautiful Bill for a reason, because it is a one big beautiful bill that encompasses just about everything this president could want for the American public. It delivers on so many of his core campaign promises. So surely we want to see those campaign promises signed into law. And as the president put in his Truth Social post this morning, and as he said to me, we can celebrate this past the House for a couple of hours, but now it's time for the Senate to get to work. The president has great relationship with Senate Majority Leader Thune, and of course so many friends on the Senate side of the Hill, and he's expecting them to get busy on this bill and send it to his desk as soon as possible. Phil.
Thank you. Given that the president said the other day the SALT cap, we don't want to benefit Democratic governors, if the Senate was to reduce that SALT cap or make any type of changes, would he support that, or is this a situation where done is beautiful and he just wants to pass it?
Well, look, it's a hypothetical question, obviously. Negotiations. Well, correct. The bill passed, didn't it? So now it's off to the Senate where additional negotiations will take place, and we'll see how it goes. Michael.
Caroline, two questions on the beautiful bill. One of the campaign promises from President Trump was no tax on Social Security. Now, due to congressional rules, that wasn't able to be included in this bill. How does the president plan to follow through on that campaign promise?
Well, this bill did address taxes for our seniors. It actually allows them to take off significant money from their Social Security payments, get more money back, I should say, put more money in their pockets for various reasons. So this bill delivers on that promise. That's the view of the White House.
Secondly, you had two Republicans last night that voted against this bill, Congressman Massey.
Ooh, so we got Caitlin Collins. We got Caitlin Collins in the House. We got Yamiche Alcindor. These are truly enemies of the people we have here sitting in this room. Crazy to see the White House taking questions from these dirtbags.
And Davidson, does the president think that they should be primaried?
I believe he does, and I don't think he likes to see grandstanders in Congress. What's the alternative? I would ask those members of Congress. Did they want to see a tax hike? Did they want to see our country go bankrupt? That's the alternative by them trying to vote no. And the president believes the Republican Party needs to be unified, and the vast...
I think so, Scooby. I think yes, Scooby, which is why Elon Musk quit. This is a really bad situation and a really scary situation for conservatives and Republicans and MAGA right now, because having Elon Musk basically quit politics and really be unhappy and basically realize that they're just going to blow out the spending and they're not really actually doing any real genuine cutting of spending is very, very bad for our situation right now.
vast majority of Republicans clearly are and are listening to the president. They are trusting in President Trump, as they should, because there's a reason he's sitting in this Oval Office. It's because he's the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party, not just a president for Republicans, but all Americans. The president's approval rating is at an all-time high right now, and it's because he knows how to.
I know. Look at these emotes in chat. Everybody's like face palm, like grabbing. I feel the same way, guys. Like Congress is a problem. Like, I think Donald Trump would absolutely sign massive spending cuts if Congress would pass it. I really believe that. I really think Congress is the problem here. It's not Trump. Congress is addicted to spending, unfortunately, and Congress is the problem.
To deliver, and Republicans like Thomas Massie and others should take note. Stephen.
Building on the question about Social Security, the bill includes the president's promises to address taxes on tips and overtime. Could you say his feelings about the income cap? Is he satisfied where that landed? And also on a different matter, can you comment on the investigation that the Justice Department has into Andrew Cuomo?
As for the first question, the president is clearly satisfied where the bill landed because it passed. Again, now it has to go to the Senate, so changes could certainly be made. As for your second question, I would defer you to the Department of Justice. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Can you explain the decision to totally shake up FEMA leadership just a week before hurricane season?
You'd have to ask the Department of Homeland Security in terms of leadership, but certainly the administration, and I know the National Security Council here at the White House is monitoring storms and natural disasters that are happening across the country at all times.
Yes, Scooby, yes. Sadly.
We're briefed on those, the administration is briefed on those, and Secretary Noem is leading that effort for sure.
Switching gears, Caroline.
Yeah, just following up on Warren Davidson, I wanted to read you his quote that he posted online. While I love many things in the bill, promising someone else will cut spending in the future does not cut spending. Deficits do matter, and this bill grows them. Why should that get a Republican primary?
This bill saves $1.6 trillion for the American taxpayer. It saves more than any bill that has ever passed Capitol Hill has. In fact, by double. The next bill saved $800 billion. This bill saves $1.6 trillion. So this is a very good bill for the American people, the American taxpayer. And I believe, as an outlet put it with a headline this morning, it might have been Politico, actually.
Like, I don't get it. Like, Scooby, that's why you're asking the question, right? Like, the CBO and everybody else is saying that this adds trillions to the debt, and now she's saying that it saves, like, $2 trillion. Like, I don't know. I guess you're kind of right. I mean, the Trump White House is certainly not doing much on spending, and that was a problem in the first Trump administration, too, frankly.
They wrote.
So I do see Trump as part of the problem on spending. I really do, unfortunately.
That the American people are going to be flush with cash when this thing is signed into law, and that's a good thing for American taxpayers. Sure, go ahead.
Caroline, what is the president doing to win Senate passage by July 4th? And does that include work to eliminate carried interest and make business tax cuts permanent? Where is he on those issues?
Well, look, this bill literally just passed the House of Representatives. So now our team is suiting up for discussions with the Senate side of Capitol Hill. The president, again, said this morning he hopes to see this bill at his desk as soon as possible, and he'll be engaged in the process to get it through the Senate, just like he was to get it through the House of Representatives.
What kind of assurances did he give the Freedom Caucus members to kind of ensure that this would get through? Last night was changes to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac part of that equation, changes administratively to Medicaid as well?
Well, I was in that meeting yesterday with the president and House Freedom Caucus, and he told them how he wants to be a cheerleader for them, a cheerleader for the Republican Party, and for the country. And Republicans faced a pivotal moment yesterday. They could have voted to bankrupt the country and increase taxes by $4 trillion, or they could vote for this one big, beautiful bill which cuts taxes and saves American taxpayers money. And he put that proposition before them, and clearly they heeded the call because the bill passed last night. Sure.
Caroline, so on the
or this morning, rather. Every day is going into the next. Go ahead.
The Netanyahu call. Just curious, did the president raise the flow of aid into Gaza? Is he happy with where that situation is right now?
Not to my knowledge, but I can certainly go back and check.
And did you have any reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling about the religious charter school today, as well as Justice Tony Barrett's decision to recuse herself?
We'll get you an answer on that case specifically. Sure.
You mentioned the president
has a good relationship with Leader Thune. Has he talked to him specifically about the plan to get this through the Senate? Does he plan, or is he going to reach out to Republicans who have voiced concerns?
Not to my knowledge has he spoken to Leader Thune this morning. He very well could have. I just wasn't briefed on that call. We can go back and check for you. The president did speak to Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning. He also had a call with President Sheinbaum.
I wonder, so wait, so what are the chances that the U.S. Senate could take this bill and like cut massive amounts of spending out of it? What are the chances of that? Basically nothing, right? Like that's basically a zero at this point, or what?
This morning, he was receiving his intelligence briefing. He's been very busy all morning, but again, he certainly intends to remain active and engaged in these negotiations with the United States Senate to get this bill done.
And just following up on the dinner tonight, you mentioned this is not a White House dinner, but the president is always the president, and the Trump family is making money off of this. So can you just explain, how is this not the president using the office to enrich himself?
All of the president's assets are in a blind trust, which is managed by his children, and I would argue one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president back to this office is because he was a very successful businessman before giving it up to publicly serve our country. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. Last week, the president told Brett Baier that he trusts his people, but thinks that the official narrative on his assassination attempts are, quote, a little bit odd. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said days later that there's no conspiracy to find, and as he put it, quote, the there that you're looking for is not there. My question is the president personally satisfied with the investigations into the attempts on his life? And does he agree with Deputy FBI Director, or does he think there's more to it?
Well, in the lead up to your question, you answered your own question with the president's own words, and I'll leave it at that.
Caroline?
Sure, go ahead, Haley.
Thanks, Caroline.
Haley, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to follow up on his call with Prime Minister Netanyahu in his effort to reach a deal with Iran. Does he feel like he has the Prime Minister's support in this effort at this point, or did the Prime Minister raise concerns to him in this conversation?
I will get further into the private discussion between the president and the Prime Minister, but surely they have a good relationship, one that's built on transparency and trust. And the president has made it very clear to not just Prime Minister Netanyahu, but also the world, that he wants to see a deal with Iran struck, if one can be struck. He does not want to have to take the latter option, the more severe and negative option. He wants to see a deal. The president is a deal maker, and he believes strongly in diplomacy, and he's made that clear to the Prime Minister, but also to all of you and, frankly, the rest of the world. Mary.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, one on the terror attack last night and then another on the Big Beautiful Bill. Do you or President Trump have a message to politicians like Ilhan Omar, who only this morning explicitly avoided condemning this act of terror?
It's despicable. And frankly, we have seen a rise in anti-Semitic protests, of pro-Hamas protests, of terrorist sympathizers. We saw them on our college campuses, and we've seen the Democrat Party turn a blind eye and in some cases actually embrace such anti-Semitic illegal behavior. And that's why this administration has done more than any administration in history to crack down on anti-Semitism. As you know, in January, when the president took office, he signed a new executive order to combat anti-Semitism. He created a commission focused on doing just that. The Justice Department announced their task force as well. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has revoked thousands of student visas from campuses where these pro-Hamas terrorist campus agitators and violent protests took place. And we've also withheld funding from those very campuses as well in an effort to combat anti-Semitism. So the president's made it very clear that such hatred will have no place in our country.
Thank you. And then on the Big Beautiful Bill, I know there's a provision that the House included that defunds Planned Parenthood, not only because of the fact that it's the nation's largest abortion provider, but also because it's, I think, the biggest distributor of transgender hormones right now, even to minors, according to Live Action. So is the president committed to making sure that provision stays in the Senate?
The president has maintained a very clear commitment to ensuring that this administration and the American people's tax dollars are not funding any institution. That includes hospital systems that are funded.
I always saw John Kasich as like a moderate, sort of middle of the road kind of guy. He never struck me as all that conservative, but wow. So this big beautiful bill does what? I sort of missed that. What was the
funding from those very campuses as well in an effort to combat anti-Semitism?
Let me
so the
hear that
president's
question
made it
again.
very clear that such hatred will have no place in our country.
Thank you. And then on the big beautiful bill, I know there's a provision in the House included that defunds Planned Parenthood, not only because of the fact that it's the nation's largest abortion provider, but also because it's, I think, the biggest distributor of transgender hormones right now, even to minors, according to Live Action. So is the president committed to making sure that provision stays in the Senate?
The president has maintained a very clear commitment to ensuring that this administration and the American people's tax dollars are not funding any institution. That includes hospital systems that are funding the chemical castration and mutilation of children.
Boom! That's fantastic! That's great news! Love to see that out of the White House and in the big, beautiful bill. Defunding all of this transgender medical pseudoscience. Love it! Woohoo! USA! USA!
We're not going to tolerate taxpayer dollars going to such efforts. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. You mentioned at the top of the briefing that the migrants were to be sent to a third country. I was just wondering, could you share any more on, which countries the administration has struck these agreements with and what that agreement with South Sudan specifically looks like?
Well, first of all, I won't litigate foreign policy from the podium, but what I will reiterate is the absurdity of this ruling from a district court judge in Boston who is just creating new immigration laws out of thin air. This administration, let me be very clear, because there have been a lot of fake headlines about this deportation flight over the last 2 days.
No, it's not, Plugster, but you do have it. It has passed the House, and it's got the full support of the White House, so that's pretty big thing to celebrate.
Administration has complied with all court orders, and
it's not a hope and a dream at this point, Plugster. It's literally passed the House already. It's got the support of the White House. That's literally 2/3 of the way there. It's not just some hope and dream. It's literally already passed the House.
individuals whose names I just revealed and whose criminal histories I just spoke of that are on this flight, every single one of them had a final order of removal from our country. In fact, one of these violent illegal criminals had.
And also, I'm pretty sure the White House is sort of like unilaterally already doing that, already defunding this garbage stuff. We need to get it across the finish line. I agree, Plugster, 100% agree. If the Senate tries to take it out, if the Republicans of the Senate try to take that out, like, I'd be shocked and absolutely raise holy hell about it. But I also would say I'm pretty sure the White House, the executive branch of the government, is also like working and doing everything they can to like defund that garbage, even without any new laws.
Had a final order of removal given to him in 1999. It's 2 years after I was born. This individual, this criminal, has been living in our country for an entire generation. And now we have a district court judge who is trying to tell the president and the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security that an illegal criminal murderer who's been hiding in the shadows in our country for nearly 30 years cannot be deported from United States soil. That not only is undermining our entire immigration system, but it is also undermining our diplomatic negotiations with countries around the world. How are countries on this earth supposed to trust the United States government and these good faith diplomatic negotiations when these countries accept these repatriation flights? How are they supposed to trust us if we have radical district court judges who are going to say, no, you can't do that? And now these illegal criminal murderers and rapists have to sit in Djibouti with our ICE agents who now have to sit there for more than 2 weeks without the proper resources. This judge is not only undermining our immigration system, undermining our foreign policy and our national security, but this judge is undermining the safety of the ICE agents who are putting their lives on the line to remove this list of illegal criminal terrorists. It's truly despicable what's happening in our court system, and the president and this administration hope that the Supreme Court will do what it needs to do to rein in these liberal activist judges. And the Supreme Court has already said it is well within the president's purview to dictate foreign policy, and a radical district court judge should not be getting in the way of that. We'll see you all later at the Maha event. Thank you.
Wow, fantastic. She had some SmackDown moments there. I was kind of impressed with her. She definitely had some SmackDown moments, kind of like on par with some of the old classic Kayleigh McEnany SmackDown moments. So I think Caroline Leavitt's doing a great job as press secretary. Wow, Ranger and Rogue's got 21 viewers on Counter-Strike. Let's do Ranger and Rogue.
Did you nade that? No.
No, it was them.
He's rotating back.
Nice, dude.
Reloading.